Good evening. My name's Michael Key. Thank you. Welcome to Makeup Artist Magazine's Darkest Hour Pro Card event. I'd like to thank Mac Pro and Focus Features for partnering with us so we could have this evening. We would not be here if they wouldn't be doing that. Can we give it up for them? I'm looking for him. I have a very special thanks I want to give to my good friend Deverell Weeks. Where's he hiding? Oh, he's right in front of me. Thank you. Without his passion and his determination, and if you're savvy, you know what I'm talking about, we wouldn't be having this event tonight. So it's so great that he's here. Also to Jill Schmidt for the lovely interview she did with Gary Oldman, which is in the latest issue of Makeup Artist Magazine. So tonight we do have a panel discussion followed by a very brief intermission, and then we'll screen the film. But first, I would like to welcome the members of the Motion Picture Academy that are with us this evening. If you're a Motion Picture Academy member, would you please stand? Thank you. Thank you. Our goal tonight is that you go away with a greater understanding of the process, but especially of the artists that are most responsible for this incredible work that's done. And there's one character that we're focusing on. It's a fantastic film, but we're focusing on Sir Winston Churchill. It's one character, but there's an entire ensemble that was responsible to make this come to pass. I have a few people that, of course, we're going to be speaking with this evening, but you guys know well enough, it takes a big crew to be able to do that. A crew that spanned from Los Angeles, Spain, and the UK. I know in the audience we have some people that did contribute to Darkest Hour. If you worked on the film, would you please stand? Bravo. Thank you. You guys don't get acknowledged enough for all the great things that you do for our business. Our panel is consisted of makeup designer Kazuhiro Tsuji, which most of you know very, very well. Not yet, not yet, not yet. We'll be with you in a second. Yes, that's the lovely Kazu. And some new faces, David Malinowski, who is the prosthetic supervisor from the UK. They're almost ready. Lucy Sibbick, who is the wig and prosthetic artist. You guys are still in my thunder. Fantastic work. Ah, come on out if you want to come. Come on to get out here and do that. Damn. And of course, the great Gary Oldman, unlike many actors, you guys know that many actors kind of look at time in the makeup chair like time in the dentist chair, something to keep to a minimum and not as often as you can possibly have. Unlike that, Gary has embraced the transforming power of makeup for his characters, which is why I consider him the great chameleon and really the Lon Chaney of our age. Tonight, he is here to honor and support the team that helped him do the portrayal of Sir Winston Churchill. Will you please welcome our Darkest Hour panel? Start with you, Gary. You're no stranger to prosthetics. You've done it many, many times, and you've played historical characters. Yet I feel that Sir Winston Churchill is your most ambitious role yet, due to him being what arguably be the greatest leader the UK has ever known. And so there's a lot of scrutiny around this portrayal. Did you have any apprehension about embracing this project?
Well, apart from my striking resemblance to Winston Churchill, yes, because you're not only playing arguably the greatest Briton that ever lived, to many. But you're also stepping into the shoes of many great actors who had played him before. And I think for me, I would close my eyes and try and think of Winston Churchill, and I wasn't sure if I was remembering footage or photographs of Winston Churchill, or whether I was somehow influenced or contaminated by, am I thinking of Albert Finney as Winston Churchill? So for me, it was putting all of that, trying to put all that aside, slay that dragon of, fear and apprehension, and just sort of step out onto the wire. But I knew that the roadblock, if you like, up ahead was the physicality. And I just felt, I'm nearly 60, and I just thought, I don't really want to put on 50, 60 pounds at my age, really, to mess with my metabolism. So I knew it was going to be a makeup that that's what it was going to involve. And I remember sitting at my kitchen table with Joe Wright, the director, and we met, we liked one another, and I said, okay, but if I'm going to go on this journey, then in my mind, there is only one man that can pull it off and that can do it. I needed not only a makeup artist, but I needed an artist. I felt for this. And I remember saying, there's only one man, Kazuhiro Tsuji, and Joe took out his little notebook, and he said, okay, how do you spell that? and he took down his name, and that's kind of really the beginning of it. It was my playing Winston was really contingent on Kazu, and he had retired from the movie industry. I wonder why. And so it was my job to seduce him out of retirement to come and do this, and he did, and boy was I right. Did we get the right guy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kazu. It's a great way to go to that. Yes, it's been, how many years has it been since you've been involved in a makeup?
It was Rupert.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a tough job, very challenging.
Yeah, that's same kind of job, like a likeness, that I declined once because I thought it's not going to work because and they came back to me again, and as long as you pay me, and I won't guarantee the outcome, I will do it.
Smart man.
Yeah.
But I imagine there's probably been offers and other opportunities that you could have done since Looper that you've turned down.
Right.
But you said yes to this man. Why?
Yeah, because it's where he said you were the only one, and I felt really honored. And this kind of movie with a great actor and great character and great movie stories, I really wanted to do, even like a once in a lifetime. And Rick is here, but Rick gave me great opportunity, and I worked on many great shows. But my greatest inspiration was Dick Smith's makeup on Hal Holbrook as Abraham Lincoln. And so I felt like, okay, well, if I miss this, I will regret. And I really wanted to, even like I quit, but I felt like I can contribute back to the industry and pay back to the people who inspired me, like Dick and Rick. So I thought, okay, well, I should take this job.
When you first thought about taking it on, and I'm sure there was a lot of consideration for you to, okay, I'm going to go back and do this. Yeah. Had you already decided that you didn't want to be the one to carry it across the finish line each day? Was that from the beginning, the thought?
Yes, because fortunately, I worked with so many mean actors, and
I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't know what stories these could be, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's a horrible ones, psychopaths. And, but I really disagree to work on that kind of job anymore. So that's why pretty much that was the reason I left the industry. So that's why I told Gary at the beginning I cannot do application on set because my mentality doesn't last.
You are a smart man. Good choices, sir. All that. So tell me David, how did you become the one that was going to spearhead this?
I worked with Gary on another film called Hitman's Bodyguard about, I guess, a year before we did this job. And I remember Gary telling me about this job, saying that Kazu was going to be the one to do the makeup, or in fact, I'm sure he said to do the makeup.
I hoped you would.
And I just assumed that Kazu would be creating the makeup, sticking the makeup on every day and whatever else. And obviously you look at Gary and look at Churchill and realise there's no resemblance whatsoever. So no offence, Gary. And I just said, wow, good luck, kind of thing.
So was it the kind of thing where Kazu made it and just gave it to you and said, okay, have a nice day? Or
No.
how was the...
Not quite.
What was the
It's,
process of that passing of the baton?
I got on so well with Gary on the last job, and I remember Gary sort of 2 or 3 weeks after that job had finished, and he sent a message saying something like, fancy doing Churchill. You know, when you kind of get a message like that from somebody, you just think, yeah, why not? So we had a chat on the phone, and I just said, I didn't say no, but I just said I'd think about it because it's such a big job. Kazu's involved, Gary's involved, and then I just also wanted to find out if there's someone that could do it with me because, I don't want to do it on my own or can't do it on my own. So
there's something I want to remind you of. When we had dinner in February, you said that you didn't want to be the one to mess up Kazu's makeup,
yes.
Something along those lines. Could you
Yes.
kind of expound upon that just a little bit?
I said that, but I was repeating what a couple of other people had said to me, more than anything else. When I said, I've been asked by Gary to do Churchill. I said, is that Kazu's makeup? Yes, that's Kazu's makeup. Wow, you could be the one, how do I say this? You could be the one to either mess up a Kazu makeup, it could kind of make or break your career, basically. So I'm like, thank you very much.
Well, I'm so glad that you did it.
Yeah.
And Lucy, I'd love to hear how that you came to be involved in this ensemble.
Well, Dave asked me to do it, and I thought it's either gonna go really well, or we might have to change our names. And I think I said that to him on the phone. But yeah, we worked together at Mark Coolier's, at Coolier Creatures, and we worked there as art finishers for a few years, didn't we? And then, yeah, that's how we got to know each other. And then Dave asked me to do it.
Yeah, it's the kind of job where when you take it on, I suppose it's a bit like Kazu really, you take it on, you can't do everything yourself, so it's a bit like, I said to Gary, okay, I'll have a think about it, I need to make sure I can get the right people involved. At that time, we were thinking about me doing the entire job back in the UK, so once Kazu had made the moulds, they'd come back, make the pieces and paint them and have a bigger team. So I just said I need to work out who that's going to be, and I need someone who's going to apply the makeup with me. And Lucy was the first and only person really that I wanted to do it. So, we went backwards and forwards, and Lucy was busy on a job, and I had something else potentially that was coming up. So we just spent 2 or 3 weeks thinking about it, and then, I called Gary back and said, okay, let's do it.
I think also the apprehension that you're hearing is it was 48 days consecutively. I had the makeup on with the tests 63 times. 61, thank you. And by the end of the shoot, I had carried around over half my body weight in prosthetics. So you've got two, Kazu wisely was not going to be there every day applying it. And you've got two people who are going to apply the makeup and paint the makeup on a daily basis, and I'm in virtually every scene of the movie. So that, I think, is partly I mean, I don't know if it's a world record, having a makeup like this for 48 days in a row, but and that meant that these two people here, David and Lucy, worked the most hours of anyone actually, I think anyone in history, but certainly on Darkest Hour, you have to tell the story of your alarm clock, what the trick you would play on yourself, Dave. Well, when in the first couple of weeks, we were shooting the sort of fall, autumn for summer, because it was set. The film is set in five weeks, and it's really the very core of the movie is 5 days in May, and it happened to be that year, 1940, a beautiful summer, and so we were shooting in autumn. We were losing the light, and they said to me, "There's going to be a few early calls, because we need the light." And we were shooting exteriors, and I said, "Yeah, sure, So my pickup time was, my first day, I think, was something like 2:15 a.m. And so this went on for about a week. It was 2:30, it was 2:45, it was 3:10, these sort of ridiculous early hours. And of course that meant that David and Lucy had to get there to prep, to pre-paint before I got there. And so Dave, to help psychologically help himself, instead of setting his alarm clock for 1 a.m., he set it for 6 minutes past 1, because it just felt better that the alarm wasn't going off at 1 a.m. And you play, I always remember that, you play these sort of tricks on yourself, and we were, by the end...
I remember your face when I said, you did a double take when I said what time we set the alarm for. So, because every time Gary would come in, whatever his call time was, we'd be in at least an hour before Gary, because we'd be prepping pieces and cleaning pieces, just trying to get everything ready. So, we'd come in an hour before Gary. Gary's makeup's 3 hours with a little bit of food in there, a little bit of dancing, a bit of singing, all the kind of bits we did in between, just to try and make it a bit easier.
You have to do that to get through it, because no matter how wonderful it all is, it gets to be grueling at those moments. You have to make it through those moments. Speaking of tricks, I'd love to hear, Gary, is the room's really going to appreciate this, because you've learned so many difficult makeups. What are your tricks for getting through it as a performer?
You have to know what you're getting into, and then you have to surrender completely to the process. If you, and especially with this one, Dave once said to me, "I'm very still. I sit there and focus, and then they move my head and they put it on, and I think I'm makeup friendly."
Very makeup friendly. Yeah. It's like sticking a makeup on a life cast, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you're crossing your legs and moving, and you're on your phone, and then you're watching something on the internet, or you're getting up and sitting down and getting up and sitting down, and you're fidgeting and moving, Dave said to me, as wonderful and as this makeup is, and as good as we are at putting this on, if you weren't so patient, this wonderful makeup could look like shit. And what happens is that actors, as Kazu has found out,
he's had the best.
Yeah, you go in resenting the process. you know, and then you're just kicking and screaming and you're miserable. So you have to completely surrender to it, knowing, I think, what gets you through it. It's like a kid going through the year looking forward to Christmas, because you know that when it's all put on and it's done and you're in the hands of Kazu and Dave and Lucy, that you're going to see Churchill looking back at you in the mirror. So that's kind of really what you have to do. I've heard horror stories of people pulling their makeup off and screaming and disappearing and you know, yeah, because you've really got to. It takes. We're all working as a team, and so I have to focus in the chair.
What's going on in your
mind? They've got to do their
mind?
work, yeah.
When you're doing that and you're being still and bless you for doing such a thing, what's going on in your mind at that point? Are you thinking about what you're having for lunch? Are you working lines? What are you doing?
We just sort of, you kind of zen out. It took patience and humor. These two guys are we really got on. We had a good laugh. We could laugh about it. And then, of course, as you get into 2.5 hours or 2 hours 45 of the makeup, then you start to see the man looking in the mirror. You know, you start to see him, and then Churchill starts to come, and then you're you know, you start to become Winnie. I think it was part of this journey. It's like a family. You know, it was our little, and we all met in the morning and bonded and did our thing and had a good time. And they are consummate artists. So I was in, you know, that's what's sometimes stressful. You know, when you've got someone who is I've worked with talented people and less talented people, and that's what gives you the sort of the stress or the anxiety. But you know, I could just literally sit there and close my eyes, and they would do their job, and I'd open them at the end of 3 hours and go, wow, you know.
And there you are. Kazu, question for you, sir. I know that there was a big part of the process of once you did the sculpture, and there's many steps before we actually have the pieces that are for Gary. Could you just briefly talk about that?
We did actually 2 life casts, because the first one, he had a beard, and it was okay, but I wasn't so happy about it. So we did the second one, and then of course there was 1 month in between, and as I do a research, I started to realize, okay, this is gonna be really hard. Because it's basically, you know, what I do usually is, if I have to do a likeness, I take the picture of the actor and kind of overlap the goal and try to adjust the distance of everything and try to fit it. And I would see how close they look. But this one looks horrible. You know? And then I thought, okay, this is not going to work. And okay, we have to find a good balance. So the goal was, because I didn't want to show the Photoshop to the director, because I didn't want them to be disappointed, because I didn't want to show it to them. So, okay, we have to do a test makeup, and we have to go through this process to figure out what the good balance will be. So we went, the first test makeup, we did 3 different looks, and refined that makeup, and after, I think a month later, we did another one, another 2. And the last one was the closest we were aiming for, because it's had a good balance, looks like a Churchill, but still have a Gary. And I also didn't want it to cover him up too much, because you know, he does a lot of really subtle, amazing expressions, and I didn't want to make it look like a mask. You know, actor wearing a mask.
It seems like this was part of the real genius in it, is knowing how far to take it, because you could probably make him actually, the sculpture, look more like Churchill than you did, but in order to be able to have enough of Gary in there to be able to play the character. Like you had a four-headed piece originally,
yeah,
right?
We did one that was what I call full Churchill, and it looked like Gary Oldman and Winston Churchill had had a love child. It was very odd. It was very strange, and then it was by a process of elimination, and we, it's just it takes it takes time and it takes patience, and but we're both. I like to think I'm a perfectionist. I want it to be just so, and Kazu is the same. So together we were heading towards that goal.
Why the choice to have DDT fabricate the pieces in Spain?
Mm-hmm.
How did that help? Why not have them make in the U.S.
Oh.
or have them make in the UK?
Right.
So in Spain.
We were trying to figure out the best way, and of course, like a production wanted to make it as cheap as possible. Of course, that's
What? I'm shocked.
So, but by that time, we couldn't find anyone in UK to run those pieces, and so we had to find out, who can do it, and in Europe, or I just list up everybody and got the quote from everybody and present it to the producer, and the good balance was DDT. And and I love them and great people, so I thought it would be nice to work with them, and so that's how we decided to work with DDT.
And you have to bring in these pieces across the border, and of course they have to be used every time. And it's not like, oh well, we can't shoot today. You have the pieces you need to deliver. David? Was there any issue at all being able to receive pieces from Spain from DDT?
Yeah, I mean, there's always postage issues and things like that, and I knew it wasn't going to be the smoothest of processes to get the pieces from another country to this country in time for filming, but it was a bit risky. Not that I don't even know if Gary knows it now, but we definitely didn't tell Gary at the time that with the first set of pieces to arrive for the first day of filming arrived 2:00 the day before in the afternoon.
And you still had to paint them,
We
yes?
didn't have pieces at that point, so we would just set our makeup truck up at the Translux yard, and we were just waiting for the pieces to arrive. They turn up at 2:00 because they'd just been held up somehow, and I had to paint them, get them ready, while Lucy finishes getting the truck ready for an early shoot the following day. So that was a little bit close for comfort, really, as far as I'm concerned.
Lucy, there's been tonight, as I was talking with all our colleagues, there was a lot of questions and comments about the wig. A lot of people said, was that punched? Was that punched? And can you tell us about the wig, being that was your responsibility, and what was the process, how many pieces and what have you?
So I think did we have 4 wigs in total? 5 in total, and they last a few weeks, but when we put the wig on and we take it to set, you've got a little bit lace, and then I would go in and nip a little bit away, go back to the monitor, and then you'd see another little bit go in, and then so obviously it's getting further and further back. But it was hard work to keep it nice, but you were so patient.
But it was a role that I threw at you. I just wanted this team to monitor me on set. Lucy was never very like an umbilical cord, never very, very far away, always next to me or at the monitor, watching every second of it. And it just worked out that I wanted Lucy to watch it's this thing of you go to one trailer and then you're halfway through the process or whatever, and then the wig person will then come, and then that's a whole different thing. And I thought if we could just keep it in the family, that would be. So she didn't volunteer. I just said, Lucy, you are the keeper of the wig now.
Yeah.
It's good. At lunch when we had, you said that there could actually have been really the amount of work being done, you would think there would be more people on set to be able to do this. And
I
it's
think
just you two.
I think we would have liked to have had probably a team of 5 really. So we'd have, you know, Lucy and myself. We'd have someone to pre-paint the pieces every day and check them. Someone just to kind of run everything really, deal with, you know, DDT in Spain, getting the pieces to us, checking them, making sure they're suitable to paint and apply, you know, and just someone else, because it was just Lucy and I. That was it. So we'd do Gary's
quite
makeup.
split up, weren't we, for most of the job?
Yeah, you know, I'd be going to set to make sure Gary's okay. Then I'd come back to the truck, check the pieces, you know, make sure they're okay, fix anything that needs fixing, pre-paint the pieces. Then I go back to set to make sure everything's okay. Lucy's there with Gary, and you know, Gary doesn't take many breaks because he's just always working. So therefore, Lucy can't really take many breaks as well, because you know, they just want to be together and make sure everything's okay. So if we just had more people, it would have been ideal. But you know, again, money and whatever comes into play. So
Well, the end result was incredible. Whether if you had more help or not, whether it worked, only, you know, it's speculation. But the end result is absolutely breathtaking and fabulous. I want to congratulate you guys on an incredible achievement. My last question is for Gary, because I'm going to take full advantage of you being in the room, sir. Being that I think I speak for everyone that we really respect what you've done for characters, and you're a champion for our art and our craft. What would you like every makeup artist to know?
I don't think I could answer it in a general way. You work with people that it's like metaphysical thing. It's how you react to a person, and that makes that also above and beyond the artistry makes that relationship. They are the first people that you meet.
Yes.
And they you know, if you arrive and you're a bit grumpy, they can put you in a good mood, or you could arrive in a good mood and they can put you in a bad mood, and they are the first people that you meet before you have breakfast, before you go to the set. And when I had got on so well with Dave on the other movie, that when Kazu said to me, "Is there anyone you know? Because we're going to need someone to do this day in, day out in Europe, in England. Do you have anyone that you like and that who you know?" And I'd seen David's prosthetic work and his painting, which is just beyond. And I said, "Yeah, this guy David Malinowski, who I work with, you know." And Kazu said, "Well, you know, is he available? Will he do it?" I mean, talk about the stars lining up, because I wanted Kazu. He had retired, but it just so happens that he's in a studio about 20 minutes drive away from my house. I mean, that couldn't have been easier. And then Dave said yes. Dave brought Lucy on, and we just worked famously. So it's not, and our personalities, we just clicked. And I just think sometimes it's just people that you know, it's like I say, it's a sort of metaphysical thing. Do you like someone? Do you know? But there isn't any one thing. I think that I think it's a question for actors, actually, because if you're pissing around in the chair, you know, you get to work, and I'm going to get my quiet and my time to work. I know that at some point they're going to say quiet on the set and rolling action, and I'm going to get my time to do my job. I think it's very, very disrespectful to come in and just fuck around in the chair and not give them their time to do their work, you know? So